Dana White is desperately trying to sell Power Slap and Jones versus Stipe, and it's frankly embarrassing at this point. This is what happens when you're surrounded by yes men and nobody tells you that you're completely full of it sometimes. So today we're going to talk about how delusional Dana White has been recently trying to promo Power Slap and the anticipated, or I guess not anticipated, but soon to happen Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic heavyweight title fight. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. First off, we have Dana White absolutely lying, completely lying, making up shit about Power Slap, which he's done this before. He said, I think it was on the Full Send podcast, something like that. If you combine all of the numbers from all of the entire sports, Power Slap does more numbers than them, which is, I don't have to tell you guys how dumb that is. But here he is, saying that Power Slap has more followers than every professional sports team. We have more followers than them. So here he is.
This thing absolutely dominates. We have more followers than every single professional sport. Every professional sports team, we have more followers than them in 15 months.
Wow. More than like Real Madrid or like these soccer teams?
I don't know about the soccer teams.
It's just funny how he immediately goes, well, I don't know.
I would say yes. Yeah, every fucking sports team we have more followers. So I would say yes.
And it's funny how Schulz just laughs in his face right away, and that's absolutely completely embarrassing. And what's even more embarrassing than that, community notes came for Dana. They said Real Madrid has roughly 1 order of magnitude more followers on X alone than Power Slap has on X, Facebook, and Instagram combined. And Dana White did try to say views, which I'm sure is not true also. My opinion, my humble opinion, is that Power Slap does not make money and is a tax write-off for Zuffa or TKO Group. And here you have him desperately trying to sell, on the same podcast, trying to sell Jon Jones as the #1 fighter in the world right now, which is not true. The rankings have Islam as #1 pound for pound, and anybody that knows anything about the sport knows that Islam is the best fighter in the world right now. Jon Jones is arguably the best fighter of all time, but right now and of all time are different things, because Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time, or LeBron is the best basketball. But just for example, Michael Jordan is the best basketball player of all time, you could say. But at the end of his career on the Wizards, he was not the best basketball player of all time. Times change. You can have the best career of all time without being the best in that specific moment that we're talking about. So here is Dana White saying that Jon Jones is #1 pound for pound because he has dogs and shoots guns.
I would fucking kill you. I'm not saying I would fucking kill you. Jon Jones has like German Shepherd dogs that that do all the attack shit, shoots guns. Jon Jones has a very fucking dark side to him, right? And when you talk about who the baddest motherfucker in the world is,
I like how your example of how bad he is.
You put
his 2 dogs.
Same thing, Schulz just laughing in his face again. It's embarrassing. It's truly embarrassing that you can't even objectively take this shit seriously. Here he is, again, desperately trying to say that Jon Jones is the best fighter on the planet right now, where he talked about Jon Jones compared to Islam after UFC 302.
Joe Rogan on the broadcast called Islam the perfect lightweight, and they're just the size, his style of fighting, just his fight IQ. I'm curious, like, where do you rank him in this pantheon of lightweights that we've seen over the years?
Yeah, I think he's, one of the greatest of all time. I think he's incredible. I don't think he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. For anybody to call Islam the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world when Jon Jones is still fucking fighting is nuts and shouldn't be ranking in the pound-for-pound or doing any of the fucking rankings ever, if that's what you really think. Jon Jones has never lost a fight, ever. He's fought all the baddest dudes in the world. And then when you think about what pound-for-pound rankings...
That's not true. He lost to Dom Reyes.
...really mean, he moved it up to heavyweight and destroyed the best guy in the world.
No, he destroyed Ciryl Gane, who can't grapple, who lost to Francis Ngannou. But I mean, Francis Ngannou doesn't exist in the UFC universe anymore, okay? He never existed. They won't mention his name. Francis Ngannou is a fictional character that we all made up in our heads. Francis Ngannou does not exist, okay? He went over to boxing and PFL. Francis Ngannou is a figment of our imagination, if you ask Dana White. Never knocked out Alistair Overeem, never knocked out Stipe and became champ. And Stipe is the best heavyweight of all time. And Jon's going to beat this 44-year-old and remain, in Dana White's eyes, remain being the best fighter of all time.
As long as Jon Jones is still fighting active and in the rankings, Yeah, nobody's pound for pound best fighter in the world.
And look, Jon Jones is one of the best fighters of all time, probably top 3. If he would be the best of all time if it wasn't for constant PED failures. But when we're talking about right now, the best pound for pound fighter right now, to my point that I said about you can be the best of all time without being the best right now, Islam Makhachev actually posted about activity since 2021, and I think activity plays into this for something. As you can see here, Jon Jones has had 1 fight since 2021 against Ciryl Gane, and then his next fight is going to be against a 40-something, 43-year-old, 44-year-old Stipe. And in the same time frame, you have Islam Makhachev, who has a submission win over Drew Dober, impressive. Drew Dober's like a fringe ranking guy, always a tough out. Thiago Moises, who has fought nothing but killers. He's actually pretty underrated in my opinion. Round 4 sub, round 1 sub of Dan Hooker, round 1 sub of Bobby Green, or TKO of Bobby Green. Defeated Charles Oliveira, most finishes and most subs in UFC history, who was on an absolute tear at lightweight. Beat pound for pound #1 Alex Volkanovski in Australia by decision, then knocked him out given that it was short notice, and then beat Dustin Poirier. And then if he goes and, there's a little bit of doubt in there with Arman Tsarukyan because they had a tough fight. Arman Tsarukyan was 21 years old. It was on short notice for Arman Tsarukyan in his UFC debut. So there's a little bit of debate there as to like, oh, this guy could give Islam problems. He beats him in October. I think it's going to be October in Abu Dhabi. We really can't have an argument about this. We really can't. It doesn't make sense. It's not fair to Islam. I know this game is not fair, but this is just totally made up, not true, desperate coping by Dana White trying to sell Jones versus Stipe, that's going to most likely headline Madison Square Garden later this year. And I get it. It's the fight promotion business. He's a fight promoter. He's trying to promo the fight. He already has Islam as one of the best fighters in the world with a huge fan base in the Middle East and Russia and all of that. So he doesn't need to push Islam as much as he needs to sell Jon Jones right now. In my opinion, Jon Jones has never been a big pay-per-view draw. He's not like people, they want to put him up there with like Conor and be like, oh, it's Jones. But no, he doesn't sell pay-per-views. He genuinely doesn't. He's not that entertaining. His fight style can be boring at times. He can coast at times. He lost to Dom Reyes, and he almost lost to 0 ACLs, Thiago Santos. It's just not true, guys. Like, it's just not true. And so Dana White looking very desperate right now, even when he kind of doesn't need to. I mean, the UFC's killing it right now. Just put on Aspinall versus Jones. Let Stipe retire, and let's go off on our merry way, okay? Power slaps a tax write-off, in my opinion. It definitely doesn't make money. And Jon Jones versus Stipe is a dumb matchup that Dana White has some sort of affliction for. The fans don't care about that fight. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about Dana White recently being desperate to sell Power Slap and Jones versus Stipe? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you want access to extra content aside from my regular videos, click the link in the description down below to become a channel member and get access to members-only live streams and other bonus perks. Or click the join button on our channel homepage. And if you're interested in some non-MMA content from me, check out my weekly podcast, the Hissyfit podcast, and check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World. I'll have them both linked in the description down below. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.